It was an animal attack, spin-off episode selected.
I thought you were gonna ask if he was an interesting villain and he rolled forward to the next season as the overarching. I would have been like, it's a Ricardo Diaz situation. You can be as good a villain as you want, but if we've beaten you in one season and then you're just kind of around and still presenting an issue, no thanks.
It's kind of funny that Ricardo Diaz has become our shorthand for that role. Because truly,
Ricardo
he's
Diaz,
the one. It's like
the reverse.
It's like, how did
Cottonmouth, right?
Part of his collective, because it's not even like he was the second in command. It was like this collection of criminals that Caden,
the Sinister Six of DC.
what was his name? Caden James.
Caden James, Black Siren, Ricardo Diaz, Anatoly Knyazhev, Vigilante, and who's the sixth one? Shit, I don't remember.
But truly, this little cabal working under him, and then one of them suddenly rises to the top and then becomes the final boss for that season, then survives and continues to persist, as you said, like a cockroach into the next season.
Just impossible to deal with beyond that. I mean, that one was a retcon because the actor decided to leave, right? The Caden James actor. So it's like, yeah, fair, you gotta improvise. But it's like, even the next season? Bring a Miko Queen in sooner.
He suddenly becomes so dangerous that it's like, okay, so...
He's just a guy. What the hell?
Like, you guys have fought aliens in crossover episodes and like Nazis from other dimensions at this point.
Always so funny to come back to Arrow, post a crossover and be like, and now the underground vigilante heroes are fighting other dudes with fists. It's like, bro, you just had an incursion happen on your universe. What are you talking about? And that's comics, frankly. That's what it's all about.
Honestly, yeah. That's what you get with Marvel and DC.
Right. I was so excited about season 4 and Damien Dark and the mystical side of things they were bringing in, because I was like, this side of that universe is missing that element. As much as that's the conceit of Arrow, it is the more grounded of those 4 shows at the time before the other ones came in. I was like, it's missing a little bit of flavor. But unfortunately, that is the weakest season and nobody liked it. And I get why, even though there are like building blocks that I really enjoyed about it.
I just kept waiting for Damien Dark to reveal other magical powers, and I was like, oh, so you're just telekinetic. That's all that you
on a
do.
Budget. Listen, what are we gonna do? He's telekinetic and he can infuse himself with strength sometimes.
He said the magic budget is being taken by not one, but 2 supernatural shows that are currently airing on the CW.
Arrow's working with what they've got. They've already got to devote their limited budget to like stunt coordination because they always have the best fight scenes. And now you want us to do magic, Greg? What are you talking about? It's like, you will get wispy white lines of telekinesis and that's it. You will get a tattoo on Oliver's side that glows every couple episodes. That's all.
Ugh.
But yeah, I liked it. But overall, the season was not great.
Yeah. Then he kills Laurel.
They did kill Laurel in a really it was so weird. And then I was like, is the actor leaving? But then she comes back as Black Siren. So it's like, guys, this is like a core Green Arrow character.
Maybe she went to go explore other things, and then when they didn't work out, she was open to coming back.
Yeah.
That sometimes happens.
Ugh, that would be a shame. And they were like, we'd love to have you back. We have unfortunately killed you off, and we can't bring you back as is so soon. So you know what? Again, there are incursions happening in this universe. We'll just bring you in from an alternate Earth, and you're evil now. So you can actually have fun with the character you're playing. And I was like, that's fun. But it was a shame. It was right as she was like finding her groove as a vigilante as well. And I was like, damn, I like Laurel. She's one of my faves. My sisters did not like Laurel. I'm still not sure why.
I liked her. I wanted her to be with Oliver and not Felicity, which I know that's where you and I deviate.
I didn't super care. But that's because you were into DC Comics and this was my first encounter. Well, not my first encounter with DC properties, but in terms of like the greater universe, the Arrowverse was my first entree. So I was like, I'm seeing 2 characters with a lot more chemistry and they were a lot more fun. I love them. So sorry to the to the DC fans.
Look at me,
I am
always,
an Felicity shipper.
Always picking the love interest that the story refuses to put the person with. Maybe I just don't have taste.
No, it's not your fault. You were set up for failure very clearly.
He's that archetype that we've seen in all the supernatural love triangles. He's the good boy.
The sweetheart.
The safe option. He's the Bill between Bill and Eric. He's the... Now, I was about to say Twilight, and I'm like, the thing is...
Jacob's the good option in that pairing, no matter what anyone tells you.
I was gonna say, in the way that Stephanie would have you believe it.
Right.
Edward is the better option purely because his love is reciprocated. Jacob is just a little bit desperate, but not bad.
Right.
In the way they're written, Jacob, take rejection, my guy. You could handle it a bit better.
Yeah.
Edward, a terrible boyfriend.
Awful, undeniably. A lot of people will make comparisons with like the Stefan, Angel, Edward of it. Edward, when you get down to it, sucks as a partner.
Yeah. Edward as through the eyes of the woman who created him, I guess. Lovely.
Sure.
But textually, it's what is this?
Damon is a lot closer to Edward than Stefan will ever be, is what I'll say.
Oh, Damon is closer to Edward.
Yes.
Ah, yes. I guess, what about on-screen Edward?
I maintain my statement. Sorry to say it. Sorry to the Edward girlies out there. That man is wild. In general, but also especially as a partner. Never tells Bella anything. Never lets Bella make a decision. That girl has to fight to get anything done, to have her voice heard.
Actually,
will manipulate, will gaslight, will hide information from her just to keep her by his side. It's kind of insane.
For all the eye-rolling Damon does at the Twilight book in that one scene, he's basically trying to emulate Edward.
That's what he was mad about.
I will make the decisions.
That book was clocking him.
I will lock you in a safe for your own good, even if you don't want it, because I know best.
I will break up with you for no reason because I want to keep you away from like the dangers of vampirism that I should have been aware of beforehand and discussed with you. I'm gonna then abandon you in the middle of the forest where you could have been attacked by the many enemies I have that know you're a target. If you weren't saved by the werewolves that we like to malign, you would be dead. But alas, that man is insane and is not a good boyfriend. Sorry to drop this at the end of this, but here we are.
No, it's fair. I mean, I was never under the delusion that Edward was anywhere near as good as Stefan. I was just like, where is he framed in the story?
And neither is Angel, to be fair, although Angel has a better go of it than Edward does. Angel, by the time he gets to his own show, solid.
I guess in terms of, because Edward is the more dangerous one because he's the one that actively wants to eat Bella for half the story. Whereas Jacob, it's like, Jacob, I guess the werewolf anger management stuff, and that's it.
Right, I was going to say that's not even it for me because I'm like, that's the same danger you have with Jacob. But Jacob is just, they have better chemistry. He is far kinder to her. He treats her as more of an equal. The only issue is that it's not largely reciprocated in the books. It is more reciprocated in the movies. He still doesn't take no for an answer, and that is a big problem.
I would argue that in the books, it's not reciprocated at all.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, in the books, it's not at all. In the movies, it's like she, at a point, confesses she loves him. But it's not as much as she loves Edward. And it's like, damn. Well,
and I guess Jacob definitely shares one thing in common with Edward in that he was written too nicely and had to have his character assassin.
That's the thing.
I said with Edward, Jacob
it's
and
like
Stefan,
the whole thing about Jacob being like so wildly unrepentant about how forward he is has to be there because otherwise there's no reason she shouldn't date Jacob, right? Like,
or at least no reason we shouldn't root for Jacob.
We shouldn't root for Jacob. That's what I mean. Yes. Because it would be insane otherwise. And then they put him with a baby, and it's like, well, at this point, what am I supposed to do? We're not talking about Twilight. Where are we? What are we talking about? I don't want to get
We're talking about the Vampire Diaries.
Right. I like that this show, it's a crazy thing to do, but gives a very valid reason as to why this immortal vampire was stalking this teenager. In Buffy, it's so weird. They say it's because Angel, because of the sins of his past, he's being set up to like help the Slayer do good in this world. But then they retroactively fill in like season 2 or 3 that he was aware of Buffy even when she was like 15 and she was at her old school. And I was like, this isn't necessary, guys. I don't think we have to do all of this. This makes it so weird.
I think someone led him to her at her old school.
It wasn't the guy who's an Angel, who's the what's his name? He was my darling boy.
Doyle.
Doyle. It wasn't Doyle. It was a similar figure,
it was
though,
it was
who had,
Whistler, another part demon, who I
Yes.
think was originally going to be an angel, but he wasn't available or something. So then
and
they
that's
created the
why
character
Doyle comes in. That makes a lot of sense.
Weirdly, in the first episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Welcome to the Hellmouth, and possibly the second episode, which is The Harvest, when Angel briefly appears, he was not yet being written as a vampire. He was just supposed to be some mysterious ally.
Oh, interesting.
Who was very much human.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that would have gone.
Yeah, I'm so curious. It's like, how would he have been instrumental? I mean, there are certainly people in this world who are human and are capable, but given that to date, I'm still on season 6, but our one human in the group who's not like useful informational wise is not useful in any other capacity. So it's like, what was Angel gonna contribute, I wonder?
Maybe he was going to be an actual angel. He was going to be her white lighter.
Just real right in front of your nose. You would not have been thinking about it because it's too obvious. Yeah, maybe he was gonna be a power that be.
Maybe, yeah. Like, I don't know. He's a shadow hunter. He's part angel.
Right, yes. Nephilim. That's interesting. Then that means that like his whole like ensouled angel vibe was written after the fact. That's wild.
Yeah.
To me, it feels like such a fundament of that story, at least in the first couple seasons.
Well, I mean, certainly by the time we get to maybe like episode 3 or whatever, I think they decided on it. I'm not sure which episode reveals that he is a vampire, but just those first 2 episodes, they hadn't decided that yet. And he's barely in those first 2 episodes.
It's true. He's just a tall guy in the dark. But anyway.
I love seeing Tech's speech from back in the day because I'm like, I don't know if that was a universal sort of thing. Maybe at like one school, one friend group.
Yeah, which is fair. When you're in a group chat like that, you end up with very insular jokes. So
that's true. I was watching Private Practice recently in an episode that's set in like 2009, I believe. Well, from 2009, that was contemporary at the time. And a teenage character who is very much in love with her boyfriend describes them as MFEO. And her parents are like, what? And she's like, made for each other. And it's like supposed to be this obvious thing. And I'm like, I was a teenager in 2009. I have never heard MFEO in my life.
Never. I think, when did OTP start? I mean, that's mostly about fictional characters, though. What is the one that we used about like real relationships? I can only think of BFF
Endgame?
for Friends. Yeah, I guess. But Endgame was also later. It's like late 2010s.
Yeah.
Or like mid 2010s. I don't know. Weird.
I'm just like, I was there in the dark ages on Mixit, and I never heard MFEO.
So true. It's, again, a gamble, and I am risk averse, baby. I only play... What's the safest card game to play at Vegas?
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I've never been to Vegas.
I've also never been to Vegas. I've never gambled at all. There's Sun City that I went to, and we just went for the beach. We didn't go for the...
Sun City
the
is a
casino,
gambling
so-
city? I didn't know this.
No, it's not as... Wait, is Sun City the one in Joburg? What's in Durban? Is it Monte Casino?
I don't even know. Well, it couldn't be. If it's got a beach, it can't be in Joburg.
Yeah, it's something in... Hold on, Durban...
I think Sun City is in one of the more northern provinces.
Suncoast. It's Suncoast Casino. That's what it is. We went to Suncoast Casino when I was in uni, but we just went there to like go to the beach that was right next to it. And we saw a lot of elderly people at the casino, and it was very sad. So that put
sad
me
because
off
they're
casinos
old.
in general. Sad because that's all they do in their like older age. They're at the casino for hours gambling with their retirement funds, and they don't have anything else going on.
I mean, you might as well. You're like, hey, listen, if I lose everything, I've only got a decade left, so whatever. What the hell, sure.
It's an addiction and our country is in trouble.
Hey, I saw some stats that said collectively our country spent 1 trillion rand on gambling last year. And I was like, oh my lord, imagine what we could do if we pooled that money together to help our nation. 1 trillion rand.
But that's the thing, is that like it's a combination of a lot of just like poor and working class people hoping with a big chunk of their disposable income that maybe this is the big hit, which is what they're preying on, these entities, these systems.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Oh, Sun City is in Northwest.
Okay. Yeah, this is Suncoast. They all sound the same to me. I don't know. Not all casinos.
I like that in this scene, our British actress and our American actor are saying the same words so differently. Stefan's like, oh, herbs. And she's like, and witches love their herbs. And I was like, I love how different the word is. I'm like, why do Americans omit the H? that's not a British thing.
No idea.
And your English comes from England.
No idea. There's gotta be a reason, though.
Truly, when I was a kid and I didn't have subtitles and I would hear characters on American TV shows talking about herbs and herbal tea, I thought herb was the name of a specific plant.
Right. I thought it was something different from like herbage, and I was like, oh, it must be a specific plant thing that's like related maybe, and that's why it sounds kind of similar. It's like, no.
I truly thought it would be spelled URB.
I thought it was ERB.
I think it was through watching the Vampire Diaries like online and seeing subtitles, and I was like, wait, you guys are saying herb?
They also drop all their U's, which is like, all right, well, that's wild. Honor, color, behavior.
That one we're used to now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it doesn't surprise me anymore.
What are you gonna do?
Sometimes they spell X without an E at the end. Sometimes they spell visitor with an ER.
They say math instead of maths because they study mathematic, which is fascinating. Interesting. I joke, but that makes sense. They're treating it as a contiguous noun. We're treating it as a disparate noun. That's fair.
So is it really called mathematic there?
No. It's mathematics, but as a concept. So math is singular because mathematics is singular and contiguous. But we say maths because, well, we say maths because the British say maths and we were colonized.
Yeah.
But maths because mathematics we treat as a collective plural of concepts rather than one singular concept.
Oh, like
think
how
that's the
older
idea.
people will be like sciences, whereas most people
whereas
in
we
our
say
country who
science.
study it in school, we're just like science.
Yeah, so that's less of an issue, but it's still, it just smacks weird in my ear when someone says math, even though I'm sure I've said it in this because they say it all the time in the show.
We absorb it through watching. One thing we don't do in our country though is we don't say pants and mean underwear, which is a very British thing.
That's
we
crazy
say pants
to me.
and mean trousers. It is apparently that's just like I brought it up the other day, like on a family phone call. And my Irish sister-in-law was like, no, we do that in Ireland as well. And then my brother was like, I refuse. I still say pants even though I've lived here for years. I'm not gonna, you must know that I don't mean underwear.
It's absolute nonsense. Pants, and it's the thing you wear to sleep. Crazy.
And we were like, trousers takes too much time to say. It's 2 syllables.
It's a lot. It's just pants. Don't worry about it.
It's pants.
Slacks. That's what the Americans say, right? You're wearing slacks.
I still don't know what slacks are.
I think it's like
a type of,
formalish pants.
because they also say pants in America, which
Yeah.
they mean the same thing as us when they say it. Which the British people are like, oh, you guys are Americanized. And I'm like, no, most of our vocab comes from you. Let's not try and shift blame
Let's
here.
not. I think it's just insane. Sorry. Anyway. What's happening? Yes.
Spin-off content.
Always some like language or geography or science conversation that goes at the end of the episode. So yes, this will be going in the
Spin-off episode ends. Email us at animalattackpod@gmail.com. Tweet us at animattackpod. That's at ANIM attackpod. Cheers.